We will call our meeting to order here at 8:33.
Check 1, 2. No checks, just cash.
Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, we'll
Yeah.
start.
Little
How
levity
about
in the
it?
morning.
Yeah, too early, too early. Okay, very good. So first off, minutes from the last meeting are in your package, expertly prepared by Kelly. Anything exciting in there that you see? That's, we have to take care of.
I move that we approve the minutes.
All right, thank you. We got a second?
Oh, second.
Second, Robert. Any discussion on that? I don't think so.
Kelly, I do have
All in-
one question regarding our discussion last week about lot 11. Has there been any follow-up on, I had mentioned, moving that walkway?
So if I turned on,
Yeah.
I have not had any follow-up, but it was my understanding. You're talking about moving the walkway over a couple
just so it
spaces?
lines up
Yep.
with, okay.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that we were gonna go ahead and work out the logistics of that. I'll
Yeah.
follow up with Greg.
Yeah, it was a little minor tweak.
Yep.
But I thought it would be.
Yep, I think we
I think
tweaked
it- I think
the
it was
motion
lined up
for
with
that too.
Wasn't it?
What's that?
It was a little off. I just wanted to.
I
try
mean, I
and
thought
get
the
it a
whole
little more
premise
correct.
was that the walkway was lined up, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll leave it in your capable
Yep.
hands to take care of.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Kelly.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve? We already have that. How about all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, very good minutes. Okay, financial reports. We have our usual summary on package page 8. Gosh, you can't believe we're already, what is that? 8 months through the year. That's kind of shocks me that we only have 4 months to go in our fiscal year. I don't think there's anything unusual in here, is there, Kelly, that we need to call attention to on the financial?
Nope, it was a pretty quiet month.
Yeah, yeah, usual stuff. The one thing we still have on the capital side, on the lower right, we still have the big wayfinding fabrication
Yep.
activity is in motion.
It is.
And I think we might talk about that a little bit later.
Yep.
Beyond that, I think kind
This,
of business as usual, huh?
this chart here, it says updated as of February
This is
28th.
February, right?
I forgot to change the date.
So this is correct
correct.
data.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Okay.
Dang it.
This is March, that's right.
It is. I will correct that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any questions, anything we need to discuss there? I think kind of business as usual right now. We get a motion to approve the finances. Financial report. Moved. Yeah, Robert, thank you. Second, thank you. More discussion about that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, old business, bike racks. I know we talked last time about bike racks and installation, and I think the discussion we had last time about this was keeping them, trying to keep them in line with any future activity we may do on streetscape. I think what you're thinking, Kelly, is maybe we're not really ready to do that. Maybe we do something on a more temporary basis, or go ahead.
So Deb and Tammy and I went up to Landscape Forums sometime last month, as we discussed in the
Yeah.
previous meeting, and they've got some really cool stuff. There are examples in here, and I apologize for the size of these examples. It's hard to print screenshots off, but if you look in your packet on pages 21 and 22, it's a couple examples of the ones that we liked. And when Andrew was here last time, we talked about kind of having that cohesive look with the bike racks, the
Right.
lamps, the benches,
Right.
the litters, everything. I don't know if we're to that point yet to make the decision. I didn't feel comfortable recommending something that only 2 people saw. I feel like it should be a
Sure.
larger
Bigger
decision.
issue. That's right.
Yep.
That's
So what we kind of talked about, staff in-house here was, should we just do some temporary ones?
Sure.
Just to get some bike racks downtown until the full streetscape
right.
vision is approved. So Greg had pulled some examples of just some general ones. The one on page 18 is one that Emily and I kind of liked. It's very simple. It's very inexpensive. So I didn't know, wanted to get your guys' opinion on that versus,
Yeah, I think,
You know, moving
yeah, I
for-
think the idea here is easy to install, relatively inexpensive. How many are we thinking about?
these,
Five-ish? More?
probably a couple at each location. I think we talked about 4 locations downtown. I can get more information on exactly how many. But if we do, it's up to you how much you want to spend, but we were thinking, if it's $2,000, we can get 11 of these loops, just of this one, just
Yep,
for an example,
Yep,
and not
yep,
set in stone on anything.
Yep.
But then we could put a couple at each location downtown. We just kind of wanted to get something to kind of promote, non-motorized travel, get people on
Sure.
bikes if they want to come downtown. To avoid them having to lock them to street signs or trees.
And
So-
the public works guys would install them.
Correct.
Probably.
Yep.
So it looks like what there, I still look at the bottom right here, there's a couple $100 a piece kind of thing.
Yes.
So what are you looking for from us? I mean, does anybody have a issue with that approach? I mean, I don't know if we're ready for I don't know, I don't know that we're ready for to plug it into some bigger program. I don't know.
What would be the, so if we decided not to do anything right now, what roughly would we think the timing of the
Yeah,
big unveiling might be?
that's a tough call, I think. I mean, a lot
Is
of
it
it.
a year? Is it 2 years?
I mean, it's a funding issue, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it's
it
at the
is.
end of
I'm
the
just-
day, so.
I'm just
you
trying
know,
to decide if we spend $2,000.
Yeah.
Now, how long
I think,
will
I
that
think,
investment?
I think your years, not months.
Okay,
I guess the probably.
then I
the way
would be in
think-
favor of
Yeah,
let's get
yeah,
something in
I think
now.
that's right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it's anything that's going to happen in the next year.
Yeah.
I don't
okay.
know.
We'll probably have to wait for this program to really, the parking
Yeah,
program to
that's
take
right.
off, and then we can justify spending bigger
And
dollars
it's,
on
you know,
something
it's
like
a
that.
grant processes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what
yeah, I
have you,
understand.
all
Yeah,
of that.
I
So
just was-
I think that's probably. a
I don't
fairly-
mind spending temporary money,
Yeah,
but I guess
right.
my question is how temporary is
Right.
I
it?
got you.
2 months
Fair
versus 2
question.
years.
Temporary in this
Correct.
case is probably a few years.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
more likely than not,
Yeah,
let's say
yeah,
it that way.
okay.
Yeah, and
least
I
one.
think,
At least one.
yeah, I would say at least
One,
one
yeah,
year,
at
and
least one.
if we get, some revenue in, then put it
And
up,
that's not
so-
to say you can't use them. I mean.
Oh, yeah, we
you know,
could,
it Could be, there probably maybe other places,
Right.
you can use them or whatever. So I think if you go with a simple design and, we put that in place and, so what, Kelly, what are you looking for us to authorize up to X dollars type? thing,
yes.
Or
Yep, I would,
2,000 enough, you think? 2,500?
we can
Tax
do a
and what
few
have
with
you.
2,000. I mean,
Tax,
that's,
delivery, all of
And
that
if you're
stuff.
comfortable with that.
The installation would be covered.
Yeah,
That's not
by-
in the.
By the.
Correct.
city.
that we-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah, Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Did you talk to Greg about the installation of these?
We've talked about putting them in, so
But
I
mean,
will clar-
did he have any sort of input as to whether or not surface mount versus in-ground mount?
he did not, we did not talk about that, and he was off last week, so I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's would just, I'd probably be interested in his input on that, just because, surface mount, obviously is going to be a little more susceptible to, outside influence as opposed to,
I think,
in-ground.
Just leave it to them and.
yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
right.
if we're gonna put them in, we truly want them to last a few years, might be,
Let's, so let's maybe we authorize up to 2,500,
I agree.
Yeah,
I think that
does
gives some
sound-
good leeway,
gives you a
because we're
little
looking to
cushion.
put in, how many?
10-ish.
How many exist currently downtown, bike racks?
0.
0 are
Zero.
down
Yeah, I don't
there.
think they're in it, yeah.
Not
So
even
we're-
at like a restaurant or.
We're going from a standing start. it
What they're
sounds like.
usually doing is, they lock up to the streetlights.
Street lights or benches or.
Lamp
yeah,
posts, yeah, it's street
So we're trying to
signs.
get away from that, basically.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, right.
And we've had a couple businesses ask for bike racks,
Sure.
just as, it's something that they would like, that their customers would like, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you seen any, in your research, any bike racks that have like self-locking apparatus? Like you pull your bike up and it's got its own thing that you don't have to bring your bike lock with you.
I have not.
I'd be curious to see if that exists, because there's been times where I'm riding and I'm like, well, I'd like to run in, but I'm kind of nervous about leaving my bike
Sure.
there, and I have never done my own personal research on it, so I'm sure it exists, but. it'd be
Well, and that would be one that perhaps we do when we do.
The bigger
fall.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know, I've ever seen that actually, to be honest with
I
you.
feel like
but
I've seen
but
it in
But
some
I
kind of a
mean,
big
you know,
city.
I've seen this, like the city bikes, you know, where they go
Yeah.
into the station kind of thing, but personal one, I don't know. My son's a big bike rider in Chicago, rides everywhere, and he's always got his lock in his,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, in his backpack or on the bike or,
No, I will say when we do go forward with the whole
yeah,
uh
bigger.
thing,
yeah, yeah.
something I saw, I thought was just really, really neat when we were in Milwaukee. They had it was basically like a bike repair station.
Station.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It was
I've
like
seen
that little tower. It had all the tools, everything,
Yep,
all on
yep.
these metal cables and stuff. So if
Yep.
you had a flat or
Yep.
you blew your chain or whatever, you can literally put it right up there, and you know, that might be something
I've seen
kind of
that.
cool
That's
to
cool, but it's very
have
cool.
on the bluff
Yeah.
or somewhere, you know, where we see most.
Really encourage.
Yeah.
Yeah, bike, yeah.
I've seen that.
bike
It's
riders to try
I've
to
seen
see.
those stations on different paths. That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, it's
Yeah.
neat, and they're not cheap, but they're,
They're helpful.
Be a nice
Yeah.
addition, yeah.
Yeah.
Madison's a huge biking community too, and they have streets that are just, they're called bike lanes where only
Oh,
bikers
right.
take priority and
Yeah.
cars have to, adhere to the bikers. So it's kind of cool to see all these different ways that communities can make it so much more of a bike friendly
Absolutely.
atmosphere.
yeah, yeah.
So can we get a motion maybe to approve an expenditure on?
I move that we,
2,500.
Authorize up to $2,500 for the purchase of as many bike racks as is feasible within that dollar amount.
That sounds good. I get a second?
Support?
Yeah. Any more discussion about that? Any? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. There you
Thank
go,
you.
Kelly. 2,500 to bike rack away.
Thank you.
Okay, I had a couple of other old business things I just wanted to cover real quickly.
Sure.
Tonight, obviously, we have city commission meeting, 6 o'clock, I believe. And this will be the second reading of the parking ordinance, as I understand the mechanics of all that. So I think any show of force we can provide is always helpful. So I'd encourage you to come along if you're able. I think, Kelly, you wanted to talk about the DDA TIF a little bit. You'll recall the discussion about this, about us needing, because of the approach on this and the legalities, we had to have an advisory council of residents that are affected by the TIF. And I think you mentioned to me you have 5 of 9
Yep.
people we
So,
potentially need. Yeah.
yep. So I did a meeting down at the Whitcomb, a couple weeks ago, just since that's the largest concentration of residents. And there were 4 residents. I just explained what the TIF program was and what the advisory
Right.
committee would kind of do and the whole program. I got 4 residents from that group, and then I sent out a mailing week before last to the downtown residents that I could find
Sure.
solid addresses for. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard. And I've got 1 back, so we're at 5. I'm gonna work with Lori, with the attorney on what do
if you
we do
can't
if we
get 'em?
can't get
Right,
9, if
that's
we
right,
run with
that's right.
5. So I have to talk to the state. I have to do some more research on that, but I'm trying to get that
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
It's just hard I don't know what to do if people aren't interested in it.
9 is a lot.
That is
It
a lot of
is.
people.
Out
Lot
of
of
100
volunteers,
people,
It is a lot.
it is.
It is a lot.
Yep.
You know, you would think there'd be some relationship of those numbers to the size or the number of resident, you know what I mean? It's just a number, right? So if you're in, Grand Rapids or something
be
versus, or
easy.
Detroit,
Correct.
and, here we are in St. Joseph trying to get the same number that they gotta get. I mean,
It's
kinda-
9 out of how many downtown residents?
It's if there's at least 100 residents in the downtown, in the DDA district, then you
Like
need this.
10% of your population.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big number.
And you can
Gosh.
do,
Big
Yeah,
number.
when you think about
I
it that
know.
way.
I believe you can, don't quote me on this, but you can do if 20% sign off on not wanting the advisory council, you can do that. So again,
Well,
more
that's only
research.
20 people.
I
Yeah,
know.
right,
Um,
right.
so I
Yeah.
I will do some more research on that, but I just want to let you guys know that we have been working on that to try to get
Let's,
that.
I think, yeah, I mean, we try and run that to ground, see what our options are, and then maybe next time we talk about it, and maybe you're right, Brooke, alternative, we go the other way. We kind of, I don't know, we kind of pushed that a little bit to the side. We didn't want to seem like we were
Skirting anything.
trying to avoid,
Yeah.
input and all this kind of stuff. So, I get that kind of, but at some point, in order to make the thing functional, if that's what's more practical.
Right.
then-
I think as long as we're showing these good faith efforts, which we
Yeah, that's
are,
right.
we can
Yeah.
That's right.
document it,
Yeah,
we'll be fine
yeah.
moving forward.
Hey, we've tried to do this and, we can't come up with enough people.
Right.
You know,
It would be an interesting approach that, of all the people who were so concerned about grandfathering in their parking passes, because they have to have parking passes, that, unless we get 5 people.
Yeah, right.
Out of the 100 people
Right.
that want to be parking.
There you go.
unless we get
There you go.
people, then
We-
we'll have to park.
yeah, we could have
Well,
cross.
They have to pick the pass up.
Yeah,
at the
right.
meeting.
Whatever reactions, right?
There we go.
Thanks, guys, either way, that-
Well, I think there'd be some interesting things we could do in that regard on, tying that all together.
I
Yeah,
would
it's a good-
question the legality of.
Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. All right.
Let's not
That's all I,
You don't
acts
wanna
get in
have
the way of a
an
great
announced
story.
drive.
yes, that's right. Yeah. Right, yeah. All right, very good. Let's see, we'll move on to, new business. A request for outdoor space on the Pleasant Street Plaza. I think our friends at, Farmer Dad or Dad's
Dad's
Farm
Farm,
or,
yeah.
Dad's Farm are interested in setting up, an outdoor space. So help me with this, Kelly. Do they want to do it on the street or they want to do it on the sidewalks?
So I followed up, so Ashley, so allowed, Ashley from Dad's Farm reached out, a couple weeks ago about,
Yeah, there's a drawing in your, page 24 has a little
yes,
aerial view of what we're talking about here.
pardon my archaic
Ah,
graphics.
that's all right.
Um,
It works. Works.
She's actually looking to use the roadway. I was mistaken, Tom, when we talked about that.
Yeah,
So kind of butting up against where your tables are. I did run it by, I ran it by public safety. They're okay with it, but that's when I thought they were going to be on the sidewalk. So I do need to clarify. I just wanted to see if this is something you guys would be open to doing because we do have to have, the ADA compliance has to be there as far as the sidewalk and the sidewalk amenities. She's look,
there, help me again. How wide is that sidewalk? I can't, on that side.
Oh,
Robert?
gosh. I mean, I'm guesstimating somewhere in the 8, 9, it's
Probably.
really wide.
it's a good sized
Yeah,
sidewalk.
so it's probably 8, 10 feet because they do some of the sidewalk, the chalk the block is
Yep.
done
Yeah,
there. and
right, that's right.
So it's a pretty decent size.
I wonder if you put a
Sidewalk.
line of tables along the sidewalk, we could make sure we don't have an issue with the access and all that.
Well, so I followed up with her after our discussion, Tom, and she's looking at, I didn't get a chance to print them off. They're like really nice big picnic tables.
Picnic table.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of I think they're the composite,
Yep, yep.
ones and a couple, she does have some that are ADA compliant so that one of the benches is missing so that if someone in a wheelchair wanted to roll up, they could do that. But she's looking at 4 tables with umbrellas and the space would be she's looking at the first 3 garage doors. If
Yep.
you know the market, it's that
Yep.
first 3
Right.
spots. So I do need to also follow up I spoke with the city engineer briefly about it. And he just wants to double check some things as well.
should we
Because we just
get
want to
a,
make sure
yeah.
everything's, copacetic.
I mean, we should get a, like a drawing, right? I mean,
Yes.
here's the width of the sidewalk, the
Yep.
width of the street, the width of
Yep.
the, I don't know,
I
what
think
is-
the biggest challenge
How many she want to do,
the
Four.
biggest challenge she'll probably have is the condition of the road.
Yeah, right.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
It's honestly embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's
that brick road is in
it's
rough shape.
just,
Yeah.
it's really, really,
Because she wants to set up.
just that first block
Yeah.
of
On
Pleasant
the-
Street is
she wants to set
really
up
bad.
On the sidewalk.
That is, no,
No.
the
She'd
roadway.
rather be on the
Yeah,
She
street.
wants to put it on the
roadway.
road.
That's
yeah.
my understanding,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Honestly, this is something that I've been kind of curious as to why they're not doing
Yeah,
it.
why aren't?
I mean, at least some little 2 tops outside or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I 100% support this. I think it would be fantastic. And if they're only putting, picnic tables out,
Mm.
I think that there's plenty of room because, the dining at 221 Main only goes to the midway point of the street. So there's the entire other half of the street. So they could probably put those picnic tables out and still have room for people to.
Yeah, but I think
pedestrians.
the issue is, do we need, is a safety thing that we need, like a truck or fire truck access or. a
Just for
police
fire
car
lane access.
right?
That's what I just wanted to
Is that what that
clarify.
Well, that was something, I know that was an issue when we first set out Pleasant Street Plaza. The thing that I would question is how is a fire truck gonna get down there when we have those giant planters
Yeah.
Right,
blocking off either side of the street?
right.
So we can sit there and say, yeah, there's room for a truck, but how's it gonna get in there? There's, concrete.
On the opposite side, can they get through?
The alley.
Then go through the
I mean,
alley.
there's still
Yeah.
planters there. They'd have to push,
Well,
they could
yeah.
push them with the truck.
They'd have to go through the alley.
Yeah,
I
you'd have
think.
a more difficult time.
Well,
moving
how
those
about
planters.
this? I mean, let's, Kelly, why don't you sort through this? I
Yep,
mean, they ought to
absolutely.
do some kind of rendering or the sizes or whatever. I mean, what fits
Oh.
where? And you have to clarify with, the public safety guys, I
Sure.
guess, what's doable.
Yep.
I don't know the answer to that.
On first discussion, he was okay with it, but that's also
Yeah, I
when I
think
thought
we're,
it
I
was
think
gonna
we're
be on
all
the
okay with the
sidewalk, so.
concept, subject to it being, meeting the requirements from a safety perspective and ADA and, access and all this kind of
Yeah.
good stuff, right?
Absolutely.
I guess the only like a backup. If there was a problem with them putting it on the street, could they put it on the sidewalk since the street is used for pedestrian
Right.
anyway?
Well, it
You
seems-
still have the ADA. I mean, so long as there's, if memory serves me, you still have to have 2 inches
From,
For-
open on the
open
sidewalk,
so that
Yeah.
a wheelchair can come through.
right?
But I mean, I guess that would be my question is, do you need that on the sidewalk if the street is basically a sidewalk?
Certainly not a lawyer or expert, but
Yeah,
having
that
done a
would
lot of
be,
this, I suspect the sidewalk's the only thing that counts.
That's probably, right.
Just my suspicion. I don't know that.
yeah.
That's probably right.
Deb's online. She
All
just texted me.
Hey,
Oh.
Deb.
I think we're all, I think we're all in favor of this. Let's just figure out the best way to do it. And we'll let you work with them and.
Okay,
Oh,
Public.
Deb says there is not enough room on the sidewalk for picnic tables.
okay. Thank you, Deb.
All right.
Thank you.
This,
Deb.
this.
Sorry.
Thank you,
write-up-
Deb.
The write-up says off of Main Street, which I'm assuming is not, but maybe just to make sure our documents are
It's on,
seating outside the first 2 garage doors off Main Street.
it's on Pleasant Street, right?
No,
That
on
is
Pleasant,
Main
off
Street, but
Main.
it should
Off
say
Main.
that.
Yeah, just for clarity purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, that's in favor of your drawing. Let's just get a drawing.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, I think you got to put
All this stuff, the $500 a day contribution.
put a pen to paper, I think is probably the best idea. I mean, how big are the picnic tables? How big's the sidewalk? How big's the road? I mean,
You have to, if you put a table
I
out
don't know
on
what the
the,
dimensions.
out on the sidewalk on State Street, you have to do a to scale drawing every year.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Yeah.
Same
that
thing.
we
I
don't
did-
Have that.
Print out some of the examples she sent, so I'll pass those
Yeah.
around. I forgot I had those in my.
Maybe the
folder.
picnic tables go sideways instead of lengthwise. I don't know.
Yep,
mean,
they're
I
the
don't know what
round
the-
ones I think she's looking at,
I don't know what
so.
the sizes are. So Kelly, we will leave this, we're in favor. Let's see what we can do. I don't know, legally, access wise, ADA, all this fun stuff that we have to consider
Yeah, whatever.
when we do these things. And let's see what works. But I would suggest we get.
Are these the ones we're looking at?
Yeah, there are all kinds of different ones here. Yeah, I would suggest, do a drawing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the easiest way to figure out what the dimensions are and what fits and what meets the
Yeah, I
requirements.
think great
Okay.
idea.
Yeah,
Great
that's
idea.
good. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think the more activity we have there, the better. I
Yeah.
mean, that's all good stuff. Okay, let's see, what do we have next year? Open house. So tomorrow, I believe it says tomorrow evening at 4:30. There's an open house on the Main Street project. right?
Correct. Yep, it's
This
just,
thing is moving along.
it is.
I think I'm curious of how close they are to a final design. I don't think they're quite there yet, but they're getting pretty close.
I think we're getting pretty close to it.
Yep. Is the city meeting with them outside these public meetings?
Yep, there have been stakeholder meetings. So, sorry, Deb was just, we've had a couple in the last few months. So this one's more just for the public to come in and see
Right.
the plan and kind of some of the
So
renderings.
this is a public open house.
Correct.
Anybody can come kind of thing.
Correct.
All right.
Yep. So we
Okay.
just want to make you aware of that.
That's tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
Yes.
4:30.
Okay.
Right? Is it right here?
It is in
Right-
here,
Right
yes.
Okay.
Um,
So that'll be we'll see what the status of that is. I think they're pretty well along on the design.
yeah,
They're
there's,
pretty well along on the design.
Yes.
yeah, if I could, so myself, as owner 221 Main, Deb, owner of the market, and, Mike and, oh gosh, or Jamie, thank you. We all met, regarding the future of Pleasant Street Plaza and our, plans to, possibly close that first block. No, that's okay. Sorry. Anyway, we all got together to, really kind of see where everyone's head was around. I know that this, group has discussed, making Pleasant Street Plaza, more of a permanent fixture in the downtown. And we figure if Main Street is getting remodeled in 2 years, that would be the time, if we're gonna close that, that would be the time to do it. All three heads of the businesses on
Sure.
Pleasant Street were all in favor of moving forward with that design, or at least that plan.
Hmm.
So, I mean, the main thing that, and, I'll gonna do my best to show up to the meeting tomorrow.
Sure.
So we can talk to MDOT about this. But what that's gonna do is we would need to redesign the sidewalk
Right.
in front
Right.
of Pleasant Street, if that's something that we wanted to go forward with.
Okay.
I think the design calls for they're widening those sidewalks. If I
Right,
remember
right.
correctly.
Quite a bit.
Which would be good. Those are narrow.
But I mean,
those are
if
very
this
narrow.
is all, and I think that was kind of what we discussed, right, Chris? Chris was there as well.
Yeah.
Kind of helped.
Yep.
Gives
It
meeting
makes sense
space.
to close it if that's what the businesses want to do, and if that's what the city wants to do.
Yeah.
But you can't keep it a secret from MDOT. I'll guarantee you it's not gonna be shown on the plan tomorrow. So if in fact the business owners want to close it, you better get pretty active, because once their plans are done, they're done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think, I mean, it's good to hear that that's what the business are interested in.
Mhm.
You know, personally, I've always thought that was a
Yep.
good idea.
And I did get the email, I think, Deb. somebody
Chris,
sent
you don't
me.
have your mic on. You don't have your mic on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
I do.
It's Monday
Deb
morning.
couldn't hear you.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's falling apart.
Okay, so,
Deb said it would be a good idea to have, see if, JPR, was it Rafinsky, Jones?
Jones, yeah,
Petrie, all those guys.
Yeah.
Draw something up for the closure, since they did all that's the ones who did the streetscape, correct?
correct.
we have a plan for that.
Yeah.
It does,
But
but it doesn't,
But as
We
far
have
as
a plan.
closing
Right.
Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
the one that,
So that's the alternative one that they had presented was more of the Wooner type approach, if I
Yes.
remember correctly.
I think,
And so I think now we're saying, maybe
Yep,
we actually go for a full closure.
right, so the one that, originally, the one that we have currently has, parallel parking
Right.
on the south side
Right.
along
One
that
thing,
with, yep,
Yeah,
so what we discussed at the meeting was, if you, in case you're not familiar, when Pleasant Street does close, right at there at the alleyway, there are 4 parking spots.
right,
On the west side of the
Yep.
alley. If we were to close the street in a permanent fashion, we would have 4 on the west side, 4 on the east side.
okay,
Okay, and then all of that around, Silver Harbor would close, everything down by between 221 and the Market would close. And then that would allow us, obviously, there's all kinds of, great idea, there's, you can do string lights, you can do, outdoor, pergolas, all different kinds of things.
absolutely.
yeah, so
But that was the, one of the elements that, if, JPR or whatever, was to draw this up, that, so there would be some parking spots still available.
Would those be accessed by the alley then?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
either side of the alley, as it crosses the street, essentially, yeah. I think,
Deb says, let's, let Pleasant Street, plant the flag and begin the revitalization of downtown.
there you
Done.
go.
So noted, Deb.
There you
So
go.
noted,
Yeah.
Deb.
So the challenge, as always, is how do we pay for it, right? So
right.
Well,
sadly,
the businesses there will pay for it.
sadly, yeah, right, there you go. With contributions from the guys on State Street, I'm
Right.
sure, right?
Well, the parking program would be able to contribute to
Right.
some of
Sure.
this.
That's right, no question.
Mhm.
So.
And we do have grants out still too,
Yeah,
waiting
we
on.
have, we went for a grant, let's remember the history.
Wrap
We
grant.
went for a grant initially here on this and we didn't get it
Right.
that we
Right.
wanted. That was pretty substantial. So
Yep.
I think we need to keep going down that
Yep.
path.
And we reapplied for that
We
grant.
have that
I
grant.
have not
That's the
heard.
TAP grant, correct? Is that the TAP
Wrap.
one? What is it?
Wrap grant.
Wrap.
Wrap
Wrap
grant.
grant. Okay,
TAP
thank you.
is
TAP is a
the
wrap.
Main Street.
Ah, right, okay.
TAP is, or wrap,
Rep
But-
2.0.
yes.
So this is, yeah, I mean, ultimately it comes down to being able to pay for it, I
Yep.
think. I mean, I
Yep.
think it sounds like we've got a consensus growing as to, we'd like to close that street. And I think that's a great idea. I've always thought that was the way to go.
And we could really look at
Yeah,
Pleasant Street Plaza, since it's a smaller area of the downtown, this could be kind of the test case
Mhm.
for all these changes that we want to do for downtown.
Absolutely.
Since it's a smaller area, the cost is going to be,
less.
less and, hoping if this all comes together, I know Chris has got some, great input on, the Court Place Plaza. There's
Yep.
some really cool stuff between Court Place and Pleasant Street Plaza and all that it could really be something pretty cool for downtown. Really be a nice draw.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in the end, if we could, get some sort of something sent out to JPR and drawing something up that we could bring into MDOT would be great.
Well, they're already working with MDOT as our consultant on the streetscape anyway.
On
They
Main
just
Street.
need to coordinate their plans, because as we talked about at the meeting, we've got 3 different plans, all showing different things on Pleasant Street.
Right.
And so you got to pick one of the 3 above.
Are they not communicating with each other?
The drawings are not communicating. I don't know who's talking to whom.
Yeah.
But the drawings show parallel parking versus perpendicular parking versus angled parking, with curb cuts, no curb cuts. And even our landscape architects are still showing the curb cuts from the parking lot on Ship Street onto Main Street. Yet MDOT's plans show that those driveways are going to be taken out as part of our greenway that we're running down through there. So it just, someone should probably coordinate trying to get together in terms of having those things all match.
I guess I would say, remember how this came down. When we were applying for that original grant, it was a bit of a fire drill. We didn't have a drawing, and we rushed, frankly, to create one so that we could submit something with the grant. I don't know if everybody remembers this story, but that's the way it went. So I'm with you, Chris. I mean, I don't think we.
And that fire drill has now, that was an emergency fire drill that got started to submit something.
Right.
And now that has become one of the plans. And so.
That's right.
A little
That's
bit of
right.
backtracking in history it makes sense. And the things that we're doing on Pleasant Street, and the only new growth and development that we've had in town has been on Pleasant Street and the people who were there. And so I totally agree with Robert and the other business owners that that's a place to do it. You could get TIF district funding, you can continue to get your grants, you're maximizing, Court Plaza with everything else that's happening. St. Joe today has recognized the plaza as another activity zone, so anything that happens there, falls into your plans too. So it's just one of those opportunities that, should be investigated.
So I think, Kelly, what needs to happen here is, as Chris points out here, we got a lot of different designs floating around. We got lots of other things. So we need to kind of settle on the final design. So maybe we can get the individuals who worked on this previously to take all those various plans and create what these guys, what we're really wanting, which is a full closure of the street, limited parking off the alley. And, that design. Is what's of interest.
Okay.
Okay.
Chris, are you gonna be
Okay.
at the meeting tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Oh, no, not tomorrow. I'll be there tonight, not tomorrow night.
Oh,
So
Sorry, can I comment?
yeah, well, please.
I was just gonna say, I think I love to hear the proposal for updates to the Pleasant Street Plaza. Yes, Chris, that's a venue we want to use, we want to continue to use, we want to develop. I love the idea of using the revenues from parking to go towards that. I would encourage a public sibling project on the west side of Maine. I think that could go a long ways in showing downtown businesses that the revenue generating side of the parking program is also benefiting. I hate to segregate those two and separate them.
No,
Um,
good point.
The old east side, west side rivalry.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it,
Wrong side of the tracks.
It's the Jets and the Sharks all
Yeah,
over
right,
again.
right.
the most exciting project is that Pleasant Street Pleasant Street development. That's what I've heard from the revenues, the plan for where the revenues are going to go, at least in the short term.
Well, I'd be careful with that. I don't know that we've concluded the revenue is
no.
going to be used in any particular place. I think the original game plan on Pleasant Street was to use, a grant approach and see if we could get it funded without. And this was prior to, the whole paid parking discussion. So that's all I'm saying,
Yeah,
Paul, is let's, I
yeah.
don't know where the funding's going to come from. But we're going to pursue every avenue, and it might be parking. Hopefully it's some other outside alternative that we don't have to tap. But
Yeah,
don't-
I just feel responsible to encourage,
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no,
yeah, no,
absolutely,
and I
absolutely.
didn't want it to sound like I was a poker player pulling all the
Yeah,
chips
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Right. I would just thought it might be a portion.
Right. I think the bike racks could go a long way too, if that was one of the things.
I mean, your point's well taken though, Paul. The idea is if, as
No,
when paid parking gets launched, demonstrating that we're creating value with that money is extremely important.
And
So
I think
that's
that
your
was,
point.
and I think that was
Ultimately,
part of the
so, yeah.
drive last month when we talked about bike racks and benches and a little bit low dollar stuff, but things that can be put out there to show the public, hey, we're getting a little bit of a return.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We have all these really beautiful drawings and mock-ups of what we have dreams for the city. We've got the
Yeah.
Pleasant Street Plaza, we got the
Grander.
one that we did across on
Yep.
Broad Street. Like I would love to see some kind of, maybe even print off these big visuals of some of those beautiful things so that
Yeah.
people keep in mind, like, all of what we're doing is for this vision, for this
Right,
dream.
yeah.
We are revitalizing the entirety of the downtown. And I think sometimes we present them in a meeting, we talk about, we get all excited, and then they get shoveled away into a pile. It might be nice to have like that constant visual so that people always see what we're working towards.
Yeah, what's the target?
With a
That's
big
right.
old
Yeah.
draft.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, draft.
Not
Big
right,
draft
that's
final.
right,
sign.
Well,
right.
that was,
Right.
Paul said that when we, like, I don't know, months ago, Paul's looking at me like, what did I say? He said, here's your marketing.
Yeah, that's right.
We just put those
Yeah.
big foam core boards
Yeah.
up, but this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which I
We're
think is
dreaming. Mhm.
actually a good place to put them would be in your offices.
Yeah, let's talk about some strategy around.
I mean, it's nice to have them here, but frankly, unless you've got a beef, nobody's coming here,
No, that's right.
right? But
That's right.
that is much more visible.
Mm-hmm. We can put them in a couple different places,
Sure.
down in
Yeah.
the main lobby here
Yep.
and
Yep.
whoever wants to partner with us.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, make those images accessible and give permission to folks to share them too.
Yep, yep.
As draft.
Yep.
I think that's, yeah, all makes sense. I mean, you know, you have to demonstrate that ultimately we have to demonstrate the value, right?
Yep.
I mean, we have to demonstrate
This is
people,
what you're getting.
Right.
what, you know, what they perceive as a real hardship, they have to understand that they're ultimately gonna get something for it, so. Yeah. All right,
that's the
Kelly,
goal.
so, okay on that, Pleasant Street? Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see, monthly reports. Kelly, do you want to kind
Sure.
of run through, a few other things you might want to highlight?
Sure. So obviously, already spoke about the TIF. Still waiting on the RAP grant. And also waiting on, I applied for the Lowe's grant. And if I recall correctly, that's, you kind of do an initial, here's the project, you nominate a project, and then they get back to you if they want more specifics on it. I've heard nothing on either, so no news is good news, I guess. The other big thing, the wayfinding signage project, phase 1 has been rolling quite well. I met with, Fairmont, the installation, you know, the one we chose to do the project. And we walked around and looked at a lot of the, there's some questions on placement.
Sure.
So he and I spent a morning driving around, looking at all the different locations. If you see a lot of orange stakes in places, that's
Ah,
where a
right.
wayfinding sign
Ah,
will
right,
go.
okay.
So if you notice around, there's a couple, city engineer has my packet now, just making sure sight lines and everything are
Right,
good.
right.
We did put, the parking subgroup went with fruit names for the lots.
Fruits,
Uh-huh.
right.
So,
Because we're the fruit belt.
fruit belt, yes, correct.
Get it? Right, right.
Yeah. There's
pretty
there's some fun names. So
Right.
there's not a pickle.
The pickle lot,
We
right.
did not do a pickle lot,
Yeah.
sorry.
Pickle.
I used to run the pickle festival, so that's a joke.
I like that one.
Hey,
But yeah, you know, apple, pear, peach,
Yeah.
grape. I can't remember all of them,
Kumquat.
but cherry,
Kumquat.
elderberry,
Right.
raspberry.
Saskatoon straddleberry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
no,
something, yeah.
that's the one I forgot.
I think we left that one on the
Shoot,
side.
darn it, that was too long to fit on the sign.
Right, right.
But I have the renderings at my desk if you guys want to look at them after the meeting, just
Yeah.
kind of, and they rendered them in place.
Cool.
So we've got, I believe they submitted the permits for the city-owned ones. Greg and I are going to meet with MDOT, I think this week, just to get the permits for the ones on the right of way. Or on MDOT, on the corridor, but it's coming along. They're gonna be really nice signs.
Great. That's
So,
great.
Do they have the name, but also a picture of the fruit with it?
Picture.
no,
Oh.
sorry. I mean, we can do whatever we want on those signs.
I think I'm a visual person.
You are a visual, that's fine. But honestly, come to my desk if you want
Yeah.
afterwards, or I'll bring
I
the
think we gotta
packets in
put a-
here.
Like a model of a big peach or a
Right.
cherry.
no, that would
or-
be good.
Three-dimensional.
Three-dimensional,
Somebody
exactly.
should call Gina and see if we could get the Boston Time Festival to sponsor the signs, you know.
Yeah.
be a good partnership.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Nice.
All right, fruits, all right. What else,
Um,
Kelly?
I think
How's
that's,
the RRC certification thing going? Are
I have
we-
not heard anything. I know they were looking at a few more things. I'll follow up with
we're-
Emily
we-
on
We
that.
basically have submitted everything,
Yes.
correct? And now we're just kind of
Waiting.
back and forth a little bit with them.
Yeah, my understanding is they go through everything again
Yep,
and just make
yep.
sure everything's in line. So,
Okay.
I hope to have an update maybe next month on that.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, but otherwise, and then just, all the downtown parking stuff is rolling along as well. So,
Okay, so we have a meeting tonight, that's
Yep.
right. So let me, just a question on that tonight. So when the second reading occurs and there's ultimately a vote, I assume, by the commission, is that the kind of the final blow, if you will?
it's the final blow, but yeah, that'll be the ordinance will go into effect 10 days after
Ah,
the
okay.
approval tonight.
I didn't know what,
so-
just the
Yep.
mechanics.
Also known as the final blow.
The final blow, the final blow, that's right.
Well, it's a little too late to decide not to have a second reading. it's already been approved. We've already ordered things.
Yeah,
So to get cold feet now and decide not to go forward, we've lost $200,000. So you hope that regardless of the room being filled.
I would agree.
we Stay the course.
I would agree. Just, we have to go through the mechanical,
Called
pro-
democracy.
process. Yes, that's
Called
right.
democracy.
That's right. That's
And
right.
all of this is tweakable.
Tweakable.
Well, and
Yeah.
so the resolution then, once the ordinance is approved, the resolution, which has all the details in
Yep.
it, all the fine tuning, that will have to get approved as well. So,
Okay,
that's the tweakable part if necessary.
I
So,
understand.
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
What else? Anything else? We got our retail activity map here,
So a couple things I did not,
30.
some exciting things. So Bricky's Cafe is now open where, I just blanked on the name.
The taco place.
Taco.
Kingfisher, yes.
Kingfisher.
Kingfisher.
Right.
I've heard there's a possible new restaurant going in at 315 State. I don't have a lot of details, but I don't
Oh.
know.
What's 315? Where is that?
That's Sweet Haven.
316, according to the.
I mean,
map.
beachside,
Is that what
the
you
old
mean?
beachside?
The old beach side or no?
Sweet Haven.
Oh,
across
across the
the
street.
street.
Okay.
Yeah,
across the street.
I heard that too.
Oh, wow.
I haven't
Oh,
gotten
I
any,
see.
I haven't gotten any specific details unless you know more than I do.
I don't want, not here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
so I don't know. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
rumor mill. So,
That's
yep.
cool. We need more restaurants, I think.
I have a couple
Yeah.
to add to this.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
One is, the, also, I don't want to, mention complete, but, last I had a conversation with the space beside St. Joe today that they appear to be headed in the right direction. So, I can talk to people for what I know offline if you'd like. The other though, that we need to add to this, in my view, is if you go to 4 on the map, which is, that 615 Elm Street right at the
Mhm.
bottom.
Yeah.
Right next to that, to the left or to west, we should start marking that 9 in my view, because so that's Zikers now.
Yeah.
Cleaners, and they are only leasing the front and a little bit of the back of
Oh.
that space. So they're not doing any dry cleaning here. Everything is done in South
South
Bend.
Bend.
And then they ship it down there and they ship it back.
So they've opened up space there.
And
Uh-huh.
my understanding is they have, the owner of that real estate has been clearing out machinery. I've been asking, what do they plan to do? I've not spoken to Jeff.
Yeah.
But I've spoken to the staff there and they've said he's not sure. He's just, for now,
Opening
he's
it up.
just
Yeah.
selling equipment off and trying to open up space. So that is a pretty good sized footprint.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would add you know what, I'm not gonna add that here. I'll add that later. If anybody has a question. But the other, I did send, Emily a picture. So right at, on that street, there is a, loading zone currently.
Okay.
That is at least 2, if not 3 car lengths for parking. So they used to have trucks coming and
Sure,
going all day
sure.
long, which is why that was created in the first place.
Because they were processing there.
Right,
Yeah,
but
right.
now that they don't,
Yeah.
they come in the evening to pick up
Yeah.
and they drop off in the evening.
Mm,
So there's no daytime stuff going on there.
Sure.
And when they come, I've seen them come and go. It's just a
Quick.
van.
It's a quickie.
So in other words, they don't need that loading zone.
Yeah.
And I would hope the city would consider removing that loading zone and making that 3 more paid parking spot or whatever.
Whatever.
It fits. So that's. I
It's at
did
least
send-
2. I saw it
It's
as
at
well.
least
Yeah, it's
2.
at
I-
least 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be 3.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
good
maybe
size.
it becomes, maybe the first one becomes a van handicap
Sure.
one with more space and then but anyway.
Sure.
So I did send a picture of that to Emily 3 weeks ago or so, but I
I'll
just
follow up
think
with
it's
her.
something that we ought to do.
In addition to that, the other 2 handicap parking spaces in 30-minute, not handicap, 30-minute parking.
They're
spaces.
15s.
Yeah.
Actually.
Are right there, but they're, parallel also.
Right,
And when you get rid of the need for the loading dock, you could take all of those and go perpendicular parking.
sure,
And get 10 parking spaces there rather than the 5 that are there.
sure. That's the
Oh.
one I was curious about those. Currently, there's 2 spots there that are marked 15 minutes. And I don't know how that's,
We probably just didn't get to those, because I
No, I
think the
know,
idea was we were
but-
gonna make them all 30, wasn't that?
I'm
the
sure that they
idea?
were set up initially for the dry cleaner.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, it was just in and out type
They've
stuff.
been there
Oh,
forever.
Yeah, I've been in forever, right, right. Well, we should clean that up. I think
Sacred
is a-
cows make
yeah.
the best burgers.
Yeah, right, there you go. I think when we did remember when we did the 15-minute, we were gonna make additional 15 minutes, then we said, no, let's make it 30. And I
Right.
thought we had fixed those, but
Yeah, those 2
apparently
still
we
say
didn't.
15, right.
but
So we should
they-
just make it all.
Make it all
Yeah.
30. I think
yeah.
that was the idea when we went through that, but I don't know, for some reason we didn't get those. So,
Yeah, just
and then
those
the
two. even,
idea
right?
of, Chris's idea of going,
Yeah.
you know, parallel or
Yeah.
whatever you call
Yeah,
that.
you can get a
perpendicular.
bunch of stuff.
I think that's a great
Great,
idea.
yeah.
That's that street's plenty wide.
Plenty wide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
plenty
Yeah, all our
wide.
streets are
Yeah,
plenty wide.
plenty wide. All right, good stuff.
Back real quick on this map here, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 vacancies, maybe more popping up. And we don't have known knowledge that anyone's filling these at this point.
Not,
Um,
not as of right now, no.
What about like recruiting efforts? I feel like maybe Paul, you had mentioned something about that. Is there something that I can attend or go to or promote or do something, come to our city? Like I would love to be a part of that effort and,
Yeah, I mean, I think Andrew on has some ideas about that. It seems to be the person that is connecting me with these potential new business owners is Keith Taylor,
Mhm.
who's pretty well-connected lender in the downtown. He's connected me to Jake and the potentially new owner of the Sweet Haven spot. So he might be a strategic person to talk to and see where these folks are coming from. But yeah, I think there's certainly an opportunity to be more
Proactive. I would-
proactive.
Yeah.
Especially if we pair that leakage chart that the Cornerstone Alliance has been
Right.
showing in the economic strategy conversations. And
Yeah.
say, okay, what do we, how are we recruiting a men's clothing store or a shoe store or a distillery tasting room, which feels like the top 3 needs that I've heard in downtown.
Mhm.
I have an idea for you, which is that I think it's great that the city has a booth at the farmer's market.
yeah,
Which obviously, I mean, I think it's great. I think you guys should continue, but I generally, because I'm right across the way,
right,
I don't see a lot of people wandering over there.
right.
But one of the reasons that I work the farmer's market very specifically is for marketing.
Mhm.
And I've landed wholesale customers, oh, really? Oh, where are your and constantly my staff tell me, oh, we had this huge group that stopped in on the way out of town because you talked to them. So we should put up some signage
Yeah,
on that
we can
table
beef
that
that
says,
up.
wanna open a business?
Yeah,
Got an idea?
yeah,
Here,
I like
here,
that.
here are some places that are available.
Yeah, I would love to beef that up, because last year I was just like, let's give this a try, let's see if anyone, and some people would stop by.
Yeah.
People didn't know who I was, they'd come and complain and then
Sure.
You
they'd
need
be
to
like,
wear
who
a
are you?
sash that says
And when I would
Ms.
say, well, I'm the
Mayor.
mayor, they'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I spoke to you that way." So it's just like this,
Yeah.
it's not making sense to just plop someone down in a chair there, but if we have big signs and whatever we need to get out to the public, I think we should definitely be, because you're right. that's a
Anyway,
good-
I think marketing downtown
Yeah, I think this
at
is,
that market, because there's so many of those friendly Illinois people
Mhm.
that are there that might want to come and open a
Yeah.
little,
I like
invest
that.
downtown.
I think,
Mhm.
this has always been a hot button of mine, is this whole thing. That's why we created this to begin with. I mean, I think a couple of things. Our relationship with Cornerstone, we provide funding to them. So I think that's something to push a little harder in terms of their support for
Yeah.
this. I guess the other thing I would say is, we need to connect with these landlords and, owners of these properties to see what their efforts are. I imagine some of these guys, they got vacant property, they're probably active, maybe they're not.
Mhm.
Maybe they're looking for help. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I think kind of both ways, if you will, trying to bring things in from the outside and working with these landlords, because, like this Beachside Deli thing's been sitting there for
Forever.
quite some time, and it
Yeah.
looks pretty shabby, frankly.
Are we up to date on taxes and stuff? I don't even know who owns that.
I don't know,
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
I don't know,
Yeah.
just
different issue.
you
but
kind of
yeah.
wonder, well,
Yeah,
you
but
just kind of wonder, are
No,
they
that's
headed
right.
towards
Are they just-
abandonment?
Nah, that's right. That's a good
Yeah.
question. So
Yeah.
I guess that's my point, is to make, kind of work both sides of the street in terms of
Yeah.
landlords and trying to bring people in from the outside, because, it's never a good look when there's a vacant
Right.
storefront, right?
Right. I-
Particularly one that's maybe a little shabby or looking or what have you, it doesn't help the rest of the businesses when that happens. Anyway, that's,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Kelly, how we, attacking that. I mean, Brooke had some good ideas here, and, I think, got to think about that.
Yep.
I know we have like an economic development, kind of activity that happens, right? Looking at vacant land
Yeah.
and things of this nature.
Yep.
So this should be part and parcel. of
Absolutely.
that.
I did meet with Brandy from the Women's Business Center at Cornerstone, and she was like, hey, what's open downtown? So I'm just keeping in
Right.
communication
Yep.
with her.
Yeah,
as,
that's all good
business
stuff.
plans are built over there. If something's a good fit, I'm more than happy to show them what properties are available. So,
All good stuff.
Yep.
Deb just
What
signed
else?
in
Anything?
saying, she thinks that the, Beachside Deli is owned by the Crazy King Burrito couple.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Karen and, I can't remember. how
Crazy
his name,
King
but yeah.
Burrito.
Yeah, super nice. Yeah, they're super nice
You should-
folks. Yeah.
He should put that.
Garlanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's-
All
I
right.
can't remember the husband's name, but yeah, they're super, super nice people.
Maybe it puts a Crazy King burrito.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah, those are
There you
good.
go.
Yeah.
Is that
All right,
it?
let's see, what else? Anything
Yeah.
else, Kelly, on your list?
I don't think so. I think that about wraps up what I
Alright.
had.
I've got a quick update.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure.
In your email is a kind of an official DDA update with kind of a list of events. I do want to say one
Thank you.
idea St. Joe is toying with is a kind of a chalet lot, which would be a business incubator. How do you use this?
Thanks.
Kind of a business incubator where we could rent out chalets seasonally, and businesses could come in and kind of test out their, whether or not they would be a good fit in the downtown. So maybe that's an idea we could chat about. Two
They're
things.
like portable.
Well, I think they'd be
things?
semi-permanent outfits that, somebody, maybe a farmer's market vendor could come in and say, I want to be here more days per week.
Where do you put them?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
it's an
Oh, I didn't
idea.
know
It's
you
an
had
idea
it.
we're toying with. But to your point about how do
Think
we
great idea.
drum up
Yeah.
a business, I think there's an opportunity where we could create an incubator
Yeah.
in the downtown. Would love to have a
The idea is
conversation
like
about
a
that.
smaller, someone has a small idea, they want to
Yep.
just test it and then get their
Right.
feet wet and then they could maybe do something more permanent.
That's right. Like
Love that.
June, July, August. Let's see how this frozen ice stand works multiple days a week. Oh, it's making tons of business in the summer. Let's see if we can move them into a permanent spot. So
I think it's a
kind
great
of
idea.
drumming up an incubator. We've got two events going, or we got one event going on right now, which is Savor the Shoreline. So I want to make sure y'all had your passports in hand. Ally and I went out to 221 this week and had a great dinner there and got our stamp. And so looking forward to going all the rest of the locations as well. And then Creative Landscaping has put together a program here for storefront kind of flower displays. And so they have a seasonal program, which is going to cost $500 a season, but that includes the display, which is a self-watering display, the flowers that will go in it, and then a weekly maintenance program. So it's a kind of a set and forget for downtown business owners who we'd love to have kind of a unified approach to storefronts. And so Creative Landscaping has put their best price forward to see if that would be interesting. So if you could help spread the word on that.
I need these at my house. I need these guys.
Yeah, there you go.
10% off if
So-
you get 3
If I
seasons.
get-
Deb says that your incubator idea, Muskegon has them.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah. It was an idea that the Chamber of Commerce brought in that guest speaker, Chuck Marone, who spoke on strong towns. It was an idea he shared, I believe it was from Muskegon.
Yeah.
They built this little kind of chalet town, was this incubator for small
Yeah, yeah,
businesses. And as storefronts opened up, and they took the best and kind of tried to move them right in there. So
That's great.
it would take some funding and take some creativity and probably a parking lot, but I think there's something there.
I think the new CEO of Cornerstone, Marla, is from Ms. Keegan, right? So she
Keegan,
probably has
yeah.
a wealth of knowledge about that.
Sure.
Sounds like a lunch opportunity.
Yeah.
I recall seeing in, I think I mentioned this before, in Grand Rapids, they had these, mobile units. They were like little stations, maybe similar to what you're describing. And they were really, mainly the ones I saw were outside of, liquor establishments, so they could sell beer on the street kind of thing, fit into their, district. And it was pretty cool. I mean, they would serve food and drinks and all kinds of stuff. And the neat thing about those is you could move them around, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
mean, low price of entry to get something going.
Yeah, businesses could sponsor the chalet.
Yeah, yeah,
or,
yeah.
Couples that, want to just invest in the downtown.
Yeah.
Have the-
Yeah.
The Tom and Judy College chalet.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, right. That's right. All right, thanks. That's good stuff, Paul. Thank you. All right, let's see. What do we have? Public comment? Not all at once, one at a time. One at a time, one at a time.
Minute limit,
Okay.
limit.
3 minutes, yeah.
Any other comments from the board before we move along? Anything else?
No.
No, good.
Great work, everybody.
Good work. We're making progress here. Keep going around. We're looking
See you
looking
all
forward
tonight.
to tonight's meeting.
Yes, definitely. Can't wait.
Come on. All in favor of adjourning? Say aye. Aye. All right.
Aye.
Very good. There we go. Thank you.
Are we shut off?
No.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Turn us off.
You gotta
I muted mine.
pull the plug.